Hey everyone, it's me, John again. Welcome to another Geek and Dorks review. And we're going to continue a trend that started last week of documentaries that will just tear the heart out of you. Man, this is another tough one. This one is called There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane. And this was originally done, I believe it's an HBO production. However, you can now find it all over the place. I watched it on Amazon.com. I believe it is also available on YouTube, but I'm going to check this link out and make sure that it's the real movie. Sometimes I find movies on YouTube and you go to click on them and it's an ad to go to some website that I don't trust to view the movie. So if this is a legit link, I will include it in the comments below so you can check out There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane for yourself. We're going to cover the Wikipedia on it just a little bit. The 2009 Taconic State Parkway crash was a traffic collision that occurred shortly after 1:30 p.m. on Sunday, July 26, 2009, on the Taconic State Parkway in the town of Mount Pleasant near the village of Briarcliff Manor, New York. The crash was the worst fatal motor vehicle accident to occur in Westchester County, New York since July 22nd, 1934, when a bus accident in Ossining, I think, claimed 20 lives. This accident claimed eight fatalities, and basically there was a woman that was 36-year-old, Diane Schuler, that was driving. She was just coming back from a camping trip with her family. She had a bunch of her nieces and her own children with her. There are a lot of strange events leading up to this crash. One of them is one of the girls actually calling her parents and saying there's something wrong with Aunt Diane. And of course, they look at the blood test results. They look to see if she was intoxicated, possibly using marijuana. I don't want to spoil it for you, so I'm going to kind of leave it at that. But this documentary really delves into the turmoil that the family is going through, losing all these family members, and briefly touches on the other car that she hit, where three men who were driving, and unfortunately two of them were elderly, were also killed. In terms of documentaries and how they're put together, the way the information is strung out in this one is done very well. It's weird because you're almost waiting for this twist to happen, like you're watching a fictional story, and there's this kind of dread that you experience while you're going through this, and you're just waiting for a break from, wait, there's got to be something else, there's got to be something else. And like I said, I'm not going to blow it for you. You really need to check it out for yourself. There was a little beacon of light in this, in that Diane's son was ejected. Actually, I don't remember. He says he was ejected, but according to testimony from the guys on the scene, they say they found him under some of his cousins. So I'm not really sure at this point if he was ejected from the car or not. But in any case, he did survive. He has a few life-changing injuries, and of course, he misses his sister and misses his mom for the rest of his life. But that is really the only little silver lining in this story. It really boils down to family dynamics and people knowing their family members. I mentioned in a episode of Brain Scratch just a few weeks ago about drug use and how it's affecting, according to the stats, 1 in 10 people. And if your family is bigger than 10 people, you've probably got a drug user. You might not even know it. So that dynamic definitely folds into this story a bit. But what's really strange about it is, first of all, she drove on the opposite side of traffic. And from reports of people that had encountered her and literally swerved out of the way, she did not appear to be driving drunk. She seemed to know exactly what she was doing. She was driving very fast, but she was basically keeping in one lane, and it seemed like she had a lot of intent in terms of how she was driving. It kind of makes you wonder, was this some type of, attempt at a suicide or not? Was this some type of mental breakdown? Is it literally just that, she was stoned and high? and also drunk at the same time. Was she coping with some type of bad physical pain, which some of the kids also seem to leave some hints about, and when they dive into her records you find out a little bit more about some chronic pain she might have been dealing with. Just really, it's funny because by the end of this you really look at things in your life, and I think it gives you a bit more of a critical eye about the stories we hear, the things that we choose to believe, even despite the truth staring us right in the face. So it's weird. This one is, and I've had one commenter in particular. I'm so bad with remembering some of these YouTube names. But they were saying that it's tough to watch some of these review videos and talk about them in an entertainment aspect when you're talking about real people's lives. And I agree that there is an aspect of that you have to be cautious about. But this is a documentary. This is, in essence, a piece of art that was created based around that truth, and how close it is to that truth can sometimes take these things and push them into fiction. And there is some point of an entertainment element in this, so I still feel like I have to rate it. I don't think this is the type of documentary that you would want to watch more than once. Like, for example, on last week's, the one, Dear Zachary, that one, even despite how heavy it is so well executed, it's so well done, there are so many twists and turns that you could really enjoy a second viewing of that. This one, while it's well done, it's almost like a well done news segment that just goes on for the length of a documentary. I think it runs about an hour and 40 minutes. So it's one of those things that once you know the story, once you get through it, you're probably not going to watch it again. But that being said, I do think it's worth at least a good look, particularly for people that might be facing having a family member hiding an addiction, or having a family member that might be facing some type of psychological issues. There's a few different ways to look at this documentary, and it might be helpful to some people to see how other people cope with these things. To rate it, I think I would give it a 6 out of 10. If you're a fan of mysteries, there's a little bit of a mystery element because they're going through all the same steps as pretty much an unknown death. So you'll definitely hear about some test results and private investigators and things of that nature. But really, for me, it's a bit more about the family dynamic and about the grieving process, and where some of us get stuck and where some of us can actually move through, and when we move through, maybe we can get a better view at the truth. Definitely some lessons to be taken from this documentary, but they're not given to you in an upfront, face value way, as was the case with Dear Zachary from last week's review. So that is it. Pretty tough one, because I'm pretty sure you'll be touched by this story. It's so tragic. Also worth mentioning for any fans of the Howard Stern show, I think Dominic was actually his attorney, but if you're familiar with the Howard Stern show, you've probably heard his impression of Dominic Barbara. That attorney plays a pretty prominent role in this film, so if you haven't seen Dominic before, or you're curious what he looks like or what he does in the time where he's not calling into the Howard Stern show, you can sure get a bit of him in this. And I got to say, these HBO documentaries, they do some really, really good work. I've really been enjoying the stuff I bump into that they've been producing and distributing. And this is part of that crowd. It's just, like I said, it's a little bit different. It's more like an extended news story. And in a way, for people like the commenter that were challenging me about this being entertainment or not, this one strays more towards being a traditional retelling of facts, and maybe is a bit less like entertainment and a bit more like something you would expect to see on the evening news. So I hope you guys will check it out if it sounds interesting to you. I'm pretty sure one way or another there will be some lesson that you glean from it. There's definitely a lot of layers going on in that story. So for me, be sure to hug your family tonight. You might want to give them a bit of a squeeze after you watch a movie like this. And I will catch you on the next show on the Geek and Dorks channel.